Hi there, guys. Join me. Hopefully we'll have a lot of fun. We're going to be jamming, speaking anything guitar, and even more so if you have any question about any of the shorts I've uploaded recently, now is a good time for that. That's a major third right there. So mixing the minor third and the major third is a lot of fun. So this is a minor third. I'm in F sharp minor, so I'm playing the 17th fret and the 14th fret. And then the 18th fret. And when you mix those, that's when it gets wild. So if you want to get even crazier, you can do what I did there. So basically throw in a diminished arpeggio in the middle of your like F sharp pentatonic thing. And then what I'm doing is I'm backing off a half step. So going from F sharp to F and then doing the diminished thing there. And it sounds really bad. It sounds really out until you kind of slide back into F sharp. So let's try that. F sharp minor. Standard bluesy stuff, going to F minor, back to F sharp minor. So I'm going to do that a whole bunch of time and you can get an impression of how it sounds. So it's a lot of fun. It's you know, the more use you get to, you know, the sound of pentatonics and the usual rock kind of sound, the more interesting I think it is to start adding these outside notes, adding color. And just a few hours ago, I uploaded a short video where I went from an arpeggio to chromatic run. So you can check that out. It's the same thing. We can try that here. So I'm going to do F sharp minor pentatonics, and then I'm going to go into that kind of thing, which is what, you know, the recent short was about. So let's try it. I prefer that stuff with legato, so let's try it one more time. One more time. Again, if you want to see exactly what I'm playing here, there's actually a tab in that short video. So when we're done, just go to the shorts feed and you're going to find most recent video, which has like arpeggio color or something. So I'm mixing an arpeggio with chromatics. Like that, so. Jumar, what's up? Great question. How long does it take to learn shredding cleanly? That's an awesome question. So, how long can you expect it to take until you can really shred away cleanly? And there's a lot of factors involved there, right? So if you only practice like one type of technique or run all the time and you're trying to get that clean, that's obviously going to get you faster there than if you try to cover the whole spectrum. So if you try to learn arpeggios, legato, picking, tapping, all of that, it's going to be harder, of course, to master at a high tempo cleanly. So I try to do everything, and it took me, I would say, probably 20 years before it got really clean, but at least 10 years before I could play it. Some of it would sound good, some of it would sound really bad. It would take me a whole bunch of years to realize that just because I thought I mastered the techniques, that doesn't mean it sounds good, right? And the problem was that I was kind of sloppy. So I had to kind of go back and fix stuff. And that's not unusual. A lot of good guitarists and a lot of bad ones had done that. And I remember seeing some interview with Sean Lane where he said that, well, I could basically shred away when I was 15 or something, but then I had to go back and clean things up. And I think that's a common thing. But that's also why I try to encourage people to, get it right from the beginning. It's a bit like, you're going to walk up with that mountain and it's going to take you a lot of time and effort. And once you're up at the summit or something, and you look down, you don't want to realize you forgot your bag down there, right? So you have to go all the way back and climb back up again. Granted, it's going to be easier to walk back up the second time, but you're going to be happy you didn't have to do that, right? So I think a lot of us have had to, walk that extra distance just because we wanted to play faster than was possible, right? If you want to get things right, I think we're speaking about years. You can learn stuff in a shorter amount of time, but then chances are you're going to have to go back and fix stuff. It's not only cleanliness, it's about being relaxed. I speak a lot about that. Having a relaxed posture. I know there's a heavy debate going on in one of my videos where I speak about the thumb placement. And a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't have your thumb like that. That's bad posture. And, just hold your hand like this. Does this feel more natural or does this feel more natural? I guarantee you that if you hold your hand like this without even playing for more than 5 minutes, you're going to feel pain. If you hold it like that, you're going to last much longer. Same is true for the guitar. Adapting your technique to a relaxed playing style, that's really that's how you build good technique. If you tense up, not so much. And I know that there's a whole school out there speaking about classical posture, and I also adapt this posture, but only when I have to. Only when I want to go. If I want to go full on crazy, then yeah, I'll put down my thumb. But as soon as I can, I'll go back up because this is relaxed posture. All of these things come into play with a good technique. It's kind of hard to have a clean technique without being relaxed. So it goes together. So, if I were to give you an advice, don't cheat in the beginning. Try to get it right because you'll be so thankful further down the road that you didn't try to take any shortcuts. That doesn't mean you can't have fun when playing and doing music. I think you can from day one have a lot of fun. That's why I also try to advocate for, just working on your melody. You can come up with a cool melody with one finger, so you don't need any technique. So that means you can work on your technique in parallel and consider all the important things and not taking any shortcuts, but still making music. And then further down the line, you can start adding the shreddy stuff, but it's going to sound good because you didn't take any shortcuts. By the way, are levels okay? Can you hear both the backing track, my voice and the guitar, or does something need fixing? Do let me know. Sandy, what's up? Maria culpa. Hope you're doing good. Am I too old to learn guitar? 29? No, of course not. You can learn to play at any age. It's what's in here that matters. And just because you start early, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to play fast or anything. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with your devotion and how you approach guitar and music. So you can learn much later than that. In fact, one of my heroes, Alan Holsworth, started when he was 20 years old, and he's considered to be one of the most technical guitarists ever. So, Leaf, good to see you. May I ask what kind of effect you're using on your solo licks? So the effects I'm using now is, I'll just tell you. Full tone OCD is the distortion pedal. Goes into my amp, which adds even more distortion. It's a Mesa Boogie Mark V. And then you're hearing A little bit of compression, or quite a bit of compression. Both the amps distortion is compressing things, but I also have a compressor pedal, the Wampler Ego pedal. And then finally, you're hearing a little bit of reverb and delay, which is done through the Big Sky, Strymon Big Sky, and the Boss Digital Delay DD3. There's a little bit of a tail happening. I like to use how to use modes on improvisation. Cool topic. Tell us easiest pentatonics. Also cool. So let's combine those two. I mean, I like to learn the modes by using pentatonics. So I'm going to explain what that means. A lot of people like to learn the modes as some chunky big scales that you play, you know, or something. And I'm not a fan of that. I think it doesn't work for most people. Sure, you can practice them as exercises, but most people tend to forget about what they learned if they learn it that way, because there's no musical connection. And you know, when you pick up the guitar, you want to play something that sounds cool. Those are the things you're going to remember at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, or something. So if you learn stuff just for your fingers because you think that maybe it's going to become something cool, it doesn't really work like that. So what I suggest you do instead is either learn solos or licks that use the modes. I actually have a lot of content coming up, and I have previous content, but I'm doing some cool Lydian stuff. You're going to find that in my shorts soon. So just learn licks and solos that use these tonalities. Or add those colors to an existing lick, which you even know. Now, this is the best method if you know a few licks, because it's going to be so much faster. I mean, if you already do know some pentatonic licks, so Frederick, I don't agree that you can shred a few lucks in a week. You know, it takes more time than that, unless you have some experience already. It's going to take you months and probably years if you're new to shredding. There's no such thing as being born with it. You really have to put in some time and effort. But again, if you do it right, not only is practicing rewarding, but you will start noticing a difference pretty soon. But you're not going to be able to shred within weeks. Back to the topic. Okay, so if you do know a few pentatonic licks, it's easy to turn those into modes. So let's try that. We have F sharp minor here now. I messed up. But anyhow, if you have some pentatonic licks here, then what you can do is add notes taken from the mode. So for example, here on the 16th fret B string, I have the Dorian note. So let's try how that sounds. So let's say you know this classic bluesy lick, 16th fret, 14th fret. You could add that Dorian note there. And you do get the essence of the Dorian sound. However, if you play the Dorian just up and down, it's just gonna sound like crap. So you really need to use the modes in a musical context. So let's do the same thing with the Aeolian or the minor scale. So I have my pentatonic licks here in F sharp minor. Oops, that doesn't help. Let's try it one more time. That's a nice minor or Aeolian mode. So I think the easiest way to start trying the modes is just to add a few notes to your existing scales. I don't want to shamelessly plug my stuff, but that's basically what I teach if you go to my crash course in harmony on my Chris Vidal website. I just teach you all the notes there are and all the modes from the pentatonic scale. It's so much easier. To me, it's a mystery why this isn't taught more. If you can understand how the modes sound that way, then you can go back and learn the modes the conventional way, just to get the whole fretboard. So you can do that kind of stuff. But it's really smart to start with how the mode sounds, because that's how you're going to be able to start using it. 3mm pick, yeah, that's fine. I have some thick picks, like 3mm. This is probably 1.5mm, fine as well. As long as you can't bend them, I'm happy with them. I do have these soft, like Fender medium picks, but I use them mostly for like acoustic stuff. No, Frederick, I'm going to have to disagree with you again. You can't learn to shred in a few weeks. That's a lie. Unless you've been playing other stuff. So if you've been playing heavy metal for years, then sure, you can adopt that technique. But if you're new to the guitar, no way you're going to shred in 2 weeks. Trust me, man. Trust me, bro. I've had hundreds of students and none of them have started to shred in a few weeks. And so, yeah. But I do appreciate the discussion, though, because I think a lot of people are confused by this, and the internet has been plagued with some like these scam courses where they tell you can learn everything in 1 week. But no, it takes effort, but there's a spectrum, right? I mean, if you learn things the right way, it's going to be a whole lot faster, but it's never going to be in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And some people never learn because they don't put the effort in, or they totally misunderstand how to practice. So I'm just catching up on your comments there. So Emzel, how do you emphasize the tones of every mode? So here is where you need a little bit of theory knowledge, it's about understanding what note makes a mode different. So for example, the Dorian mode is the same as a minor scale, only one note is different. So that's going to be the note that really characterizes the Dorian mode. So that's the one you're going to want to emphasize if you want to try the Dorian sound, and that's exactly what I showed you here. And each mode has one or two notes that really sets it apart from either a minor scale or a major scale. And that's how you emphasize the note. You understand the theory behind it. So what makes the mode different? Cool, Pinku, that's a good one. Show some pentatonic licks with the blue note. Definitely going to do that, because that's pretty much the same concept as adding the Dorian note. You can add the blue or the flat 5, the blues note. Let's try that. So I'm playing in the F sharp minor scale, right? Or sorry, F sharp pentatonic minor. It's a trusty pentatonic box here on the 14th fret. Now, if I want to add the blues sound or the flat 5 to that, it's going to sound like this. Very nice sound. Let's try some more. So what did I do? Well, I have my trusty pentatonic box here, right? That's the one everybody learns. It's the first scale you learn in rock and roll. So what you're going to do, instead of playing the standard 17 to 14, 17, 14, 17, 14, and then 16, 14, you're just going to continue with the 17, 14. So you get like identical shapes on 3 strings. That's a good start. So check out the difference here. So the regular sound would be this. Now if I add that trick where I play 3 identical shapes, I get this. So actually it gets easier if we add that blues note, because we get the same shapes on 3 strings, right? Easier to remember, a bit easier to play, but we get a totally different sound. So that's a very powerful trick right there. So what are the best landing notes when we do an improvisation? That's also a cool question. So, you know, the general answer to that is usually like the chord notes, right? The good notes. But that's a very general guideline. And at the end of the day, it all depends on what you're trying to convey, right? Sometimes that's what works. In a lot of pop and rock music, you really want to have those strong notes emphasized. But if we're playing over this kind of static backing track, the landing notes are totally going to be up to you, right? In fact, if I've been playing these kind of pentatonic licks for a while, then it's going to get boring if I just keep playing the strong notes. Basically looking for some color after a while. So let's add the color. So there, I went out of the scale, I went back into it, and then I landed on the root note, and it sounded good. But sometimes you can even land on a bad note and really hang on it if you're in a fusion kind of context. Right? We can do... To my ears, that's okay to do in this kind of context. But again, and also, if you're playing like a blues, like a 7-chord progression, that's also really floating. You can do a lot of weird stuff there, and it's, you know, if there's a cool melody, lick, or intention behind it, it's going to sound good. But if you're playing over like a standard pop and rock tune, which is in a major key with your standard chords, you know, whatever, C, A minor, F, G, then you're going to want to hear most of the time the chord notes. But you can do like Marty Friedman, and you can approach them in weird ways, right? So instead of just playing... Oh, wait. Just land like that, what you can do is... That would be the Marty Friedman way, right? So instead of doing that, the minor third, you can do... So really approaching it from a weird place. But, you know, it's easy to overcomplicate things, but either you're looking for tension, and that's like go to jazz fusion land, or you're in pop rock situation and you're going to have to be more careful with tension. And if you want to use tension, you just use it sparsely right before you hit that perfect note. You know, that's, I think, a good general guideline. Yannick, how you doing? Giuseppe, awesome to have you here. Sorry for butchering your names. I mean, I watch a lot of your tutorials, but I just can't get them in practice. Sorry, what can't you get in practice? Oh, sweep picking. How do I even synchronize my fingers with the picking hand? Good question. So let's do a little bit of sweeping and speak about how we can approach practicing sweep picking. So I like to do these build-ups, right, where I sweep and then I reach this target note, which is more like melodic by nature. But also, you know, you can do these longer sweeps, but I still always think that they need to, you know, land somewhere, right? It could either be like a cool note, or you're landing in a cool blues lick or something like that. how do you get up to speed? How do you really, you know, dive into the world of sweep picking? So a lot of misconceptions around sweep picking. First of all, it's often presented as this like miracle shred technique. And I speak a lot about this in my courses. It is true that you can get sweeping pretty soon, but to make a sweep sound good, it's just as hard as playing legato or something like that. In fact, I'd argue that if you want to learn the fastest way to start shredding would be tapping. You can make tapping sound okay pretty soon. But sweeping, sure, you can get the shape down, but it's not going to sound good until long time after you've started working on it. So, why is that? Well, as with any like fast playing, it's not really the speed that matters, it's the perceived speed. So what I mean by that is if the listener can't even hear you're trying to play fast, it's not going to sound cool. And that's the issue with sweep picking. When you're not good at it, even though you can perform the actual sweep, it won't sound fast because you're not going to hear the different notes in isolation. If it doesn't sound fast, it doesn't matter if the notes you're playing are fast. It's still not going to sound fast and it's still not going to sound good. So, a cool sweep is one where you can hear the note isolation, right? So, you're basically hearing, but fast. You don't want to be hearing that, right? This is technically a sweep, but it sounds bad. So, how do you hear the notes in isolation as opposed to just one blah? And here's the thing which I recommend, which makes sweeping a difficult technique, but which really works. Takes more time, but that's how I did it, and I'm really happy I spent some time with it. That's practicing the sweep with your left hand only. Now you should still be, using your right hand for muting purposes, otherwise you're gonna get noise. But I'm not using the pick here. Now, practicing it this way ensures that you're actually playing every note individually. And then when you start adding the sweep motion, you're gonna get that, the sound of sweep picking, which is really what you're looking for. Now, the issue is, of course, that practicing the sweeps like this also requires you to learn legato and more specifically hammer-ons from nowhere. And this makes sweeping a difficult technique. So that's the kind of bottom line here. If you want to learn to play something that sounds cool and you can learn quickly, I would advise you to do this. See if I can do it. Which can be developed into so I would say tapping, your question was about sweeping and I'm answering tapping. But if you're expecting faster results, don't learn sweep picking, learn tapping, You can still practice sweeping, but have that as a long-term goal. That would be my advice. So just trying to catch up here. What tempo is the best to start practicing? That's also a killer question right there. I know that a lot of people get confused by my playing because I always show stuff like up to tempo, and then when the lick or the video calls for it, I also play things slowly. And people get a bit confused because what I'm playing slowly is already too fast for most people. So I'm kind of setting the bar really high, and the reason I do that is to inspire you, because nobody would watch these videos if I were just doing... Well, that's what you're supposed to learn. 0 views immediately. So the way the internet works and the algorithm works is I'm showing you the cool stuff because that's what people want to see. But the cool stuff is a result of like 20 years of practicing or more, right? So you have to be smart about this and never, ever, ever, ever practice above your comfort zone. Because what you think is your comfort zone is already too fast for you. So playing above that is crazy. What you should do is practice below your comfort zone. So you should play slower than the tempo you think you master. That's when you're going to develop a good technique. So you'd be surprised to hear that the most important part of my practicing is my warm-up, which happened 2 hours ago, so you won't be able to see it, but it sounds something like this. See, there's an issue there. So I was playing too fast. So, if I've been playing for almost 30 years and I still warm up playing like that, if you're new to shredding, you shouldn't be playing too fast. I think that's a good conclusion we can draw here. So, in most cases, you should be start practicing at a tempo that is below what you think is a good tempo. So much slower. The reason being, that's when you have time to think about controlling tension, good hand posture, think about muting the unwanted strings, think about how does it actually sound when I play? There's absolutely no point in repeating notes that sounds like shit just because it's an exercise. Some people think that it's okay to practice and have it sound bad, but I don't. I think when you pick up the guitar, everything you should play should sound okay. If it doesn't, then you're probably pushing yourself in a way that isn't healthy. So, I'm in control, the notes sound good, there's no noise. That means I'm closer to this than if I were to try to play, yeah, I can probably do this. No, I couldn't. That kind of stuff comes from playing in control for a very long time, teaching your muscles how it's done properly, so that engraved in your muscle memory is going to be a correct technique that translates to faster playing. Yep, bamboo. Don't play above your comfort zone. That's definitely a mistake. Here's another good question by Jumar. Tips on memorizing the whole fretboard. That's a really good question. He's saying, I often get a mental block when using jam tracks. So I'm going to play a little bit all over the fretboard, and then we're going to analyze how it's done. Okay, playing all over the fretboard there. How is it done? So, I think the first thing we got to get out of the way here is it shouldn't be a memorization problem. If you're struggling remembering the different positions, it means A, you're not ready to play all over the fretboard, and B, you're probably practicing it the wrong way. So in order to, on the fly, as I was doing here, connect different boxes, so in other words, shifting horizontally, those position shifts, they have to be engraved in your muscle memory, just like the licks. There is no time to think about moving between. If you gotta think, it means you're still on the practicing stage. So the best way to kind of achieve what I'm speaking about here, to get those position shifts in your muscle memory, is to combine licks that you already master of different positions. And the reason this works is because if you don't play any licks that sound musical, you're just trying to play an exercise like... then that is not really gonna come ever naturally to you. It might do for a while, but then you're gonna forget about it, and then you're gonna struggle with memorization again. So, however, if you do, and then try to move into, sorry, my voice. Trying to combine two different licks that sound cool, and you manage to do that, then trust me, that position shift is gonna be engraved in your memory forever. That's the first thing you're gonna play when you pick up the guitar, and you're not gonna have to think about it when it's time to play. So what you should do is, if you haven't already, try to master a few cool sounding licks. When you can do that, then you should try to combine two licks in two different positions, two adjacent positions, preferably, so two positions that are close to each other, and see if you can start combining them. If you can do that, then I promise you, you're gonna be so happy about yourself, you're not gonna think about memorizing this, it's already gonna immediately stick to you. So as soon as you have done that in one spot, and you can go back and forth between two different positions, then it's going to open up a world of possibilities. You're going to realize, okay, if I can do that with two positions, what if I can do it with three positions? Let's try it. Wow, it worked as well. And now all of a sudden we have three different positions. We have like, I don't know, 15 or 10 frets or something where we can slide. And you've basically cracked the code at this point. It had nothing to do with playing an exercise diagonally. It's not wrong to do that, but that's just one step along the way. You really need to get to the point where you can play cool sounding stuff in two different positions before you actually are close to your end goal of being to play all over the fretboard. Everything else is just on a part of the journey, and if you stop at, in the middle of the journey, you won't see results. So you have to get to that point where you can play music in different boxes. That's when it's going to happen. That's how it was for me. I practiced, for a long time just... but, didn't change it for me. What did change it for me was when I realized, hey, my blues licks, I can play them in all different positions. Whatever, and that's like, whoa, I can connect them. And I started doing it over a backing track, and all of a sudden, it just started to make sense. So I'm gonna catch up with your comments here, see what you're saying. You've been gripping your pick, is that good? You should never grab the pick with a pinch movement, or pinch grip like this. This is gonna give you the Marty Friedman, Van Halen kind of I mean, it's okay, but it's not optimal. What you should do if you want a really flexible technique is naturally join your thumb and your index finger like that, and then you kind of squeeze in the pick at a 90-degree angle to the thumb. And this is a really nice picking grip. It's basically going to allow you to shred away. Awesome, Jumar. Try combining them, and that should make more sense. It's still okay to use, some scale diagram just to visualize where the boxes are, but again, that's not really gonna take you to the end goal. You really have to be able to play music in those boxes. And if you start with 2 adjacent boxes, you're gonna get a lot for free because it's gonna get easier to play those licks moving between. Sorry, man, don't know Hotel California, but I could maybe try to change backing track here. Let's see what we have. Let's see. Oh, I had a backing track here, which I wanted to play, but now can't find it. So there we go. This is a fun backing track. Keep returning to it. So I have this is D major. Fun backing track. Marco, how tight is your pick grip in fast shredding? Good question there. In general, it's a bad idea to grip the pick really hard, I think. The softer your grip is, the more you actually... Well, the more margin of error you have, it can move a little bit. And also in general, it might feel like the pick is kind of slipping away if you do that. But what's going to happen is, if you practice playing with a soft grip, it's basically going to teach you a new way of doing things where you don't have to kind of cramp and hold the pick, and you're going to learn to appreciate that the pick doesn't slip away. In fact, you can enjoy the advantages of soft grip instead. So most of the time, I don't hold it that hard, and a lot of times I do have time to readjust, you know, even if the pick should move a little bit in the long run. I'm not gonna, you know, shred forever. At least I don't like the sound of non-stop shredding. Most of the time, I'll just do like a... So not a longer run than that. And as soon as I'm done shredding, I can just, you know, move the pick. And so, to be honest with you, the pick slipping away is never a problem for me. Sometimes I drop the pick. I don't know why, but I don't experience that as a problem. And like I said, I think that a soft grip is going to help you with that. And you can, if there should be a slight slip happening, like for in the long run, you can always readjust afterwards, like I just did. Cool, Marco. Give it a shot and let me know how it works. Chris Daly, what's up? Checking your question here. Do you have a daily finger exercise suggestion for me so that my fingers could achieve a faster speed? Good question there. So first of all, Chris, what I should probably say is when you see me shred away here or in, you know, all the short videos I upload, that's the result of long practicing, right? So sometimes it's tempting to think that you should try to move your fingers fast. But what happens is if you try to kind of play fast before you're ready, you're gonna get a lot of bad habits, which is gonna make it harder to actually play fast. So I do think it's a great question here. Like a daily finger exercise suggestion, that would be basically look into your routine, right? Try to get a routine that matches your goals. That's super important. So if one of your biggest goals is to play amazing and fast solos, then you should try to structure your practice routine so that you work on, you know, all the components, the bits that make up for a cool solo technique. And it could be like maybe fast picking. It could be maybe, I don't know, some tapping and some sweeping and all that good stuff. So the first thing you're going to have to do is maybe a little bit of prioritizing here. All of those things are good. Most of them take a long time to learn. Tapping is a little bit easier, but so you're going to want to maybe do a little bit of investigation to check what are your heroes using. Maybe start with that. Some people would argue that, oh, you have to start doing finger exercises that are chromatic, blah, blah. But I'm a firm believer of kind of targeting your end goal and setting up your practice routine so that it follows a path towards your end goal. I think that's super important. So do a little bit of research, see what your heroes are using, and maybe start with those techniques. And a lot of times you can actually derive an exercise from a really cool lick that your heroes are doing. So, I mean, in its most basic form, we're going to pretend now that you're an Yngwie Malmsteen fan. You know, this is just an example. So if you're an Yngwie fan, you're going to want to learn to move your fingers fast because a lot of his playing is based around this, right? But this is going to take a long time to learn. So what you're going to have to learn, or what you're going to have to do when practicing, is break that down so that you're doing something reminiscent of that, but in a simpler form. So let's see what that would be. Maybe just this is one example, right? So here we go. I'm going to show you this just as an example. If we practice 12, 14, 15, you could do that with the metronome and just count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's basically going to prepare us for a really fancy Yngwie run. But it's going to take us a long time to get there, and we won't get there unless we think about the important details. You know, this is the kind of stuff I speak a lot about in my courses, but in short, you want to have a relaxed technique, you want to have a very consistent and small picking movement, and you want to be in control of noise and all that stuff. These are big topics, but my point is, if you're practicing slowly and methodically, you have the time to think about that. Because you have to take those things with you as you climb up the mountain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the metronome is going to click on the 1, right? Beep, beep, beep. So practice that for quite a while. And then maybe further down the road, you're going to be comfortable playing in another position. So you can do... And the more you practice this, the closer you're going to get to your goal of being able to move this shape around quickly. Right? We're getting closer and closer, so... I mean, it's not super fast, but you can still hear that it's getting somewhere, right? You should also practice the things that make it sound musical. So if you only play that, it's going to be boring. You should practice some of this, you know, some bending so that you can do... And then, you know, if we fast forward time, you're eventually going to get to... Because all of those things come together. You have that relaxed technique. You're in control of noise. It's going to sound good when you play or run. You've practiced it for so long that your muscle memory knows how to do things without your brain having to be involved, because the human brain is not really fast enough to think about every note there. You just have to have programmed that into your muscle memory. And perhaps most importantly, you will convey some kind of musical message because you've also been practicing bending and that melodic stuff, which really makes the difference between just a fast run and something that someone will actually want to listen to. So this is just a very compressed version of all the million things you should think about, but I hopefully give you like a bit of an overview of the important stuff. I'm going to play a little bit and you can see how all that is put into action. Cool. Pretty cool. So we do something bluesier, perhaps? Let's see. Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah. So let's do this in A. I mean, this stuff all applies, regardless of, whether you're doing like a, metal thing, or as here, this is more like a vintage rock, and it's all the same principle. You combine the technical stuff with the melodic stuff, and you don't have to throw in the technical stuff. I mean, on this channel, we're pretty technically oriented, but it still sounds cool if you just do the. Do we have any blues rock fans here?